Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Springfield, the podcast. They're eating the cats and dogs. We've all heard President Trump now talk about the cats and the dogs, and they're eating the ducks, and they're going after the pets. Well, it turns out there's a lot of evidence that this is actually true. What's at play here? Well, Springfield, Ohio, we know has been overrun with Haitian migrants. We know that there are societal differences in Haiti compared to the United States. I'm going to play you some clips today of Haitians talking about, one, the need to eat dogs and cats in Haiti for literally to survive because it's such a poor country, and then the idea of voodoo. So voodoo is very big in Haiti, and apparently sacrificing dogs, cats, those kinds of things are a big problem. But we're missing the point if we focus just on the cats and the dogs. We need to focus on the people, and we need to focus on what's causing this problem. And it's not just Springfield, Ohio, it's across the country. And it's not just people from Haiti, it's people from all over the world that shouldn't be here because they didn't come here the right way, or they were let into this country through a scam process that the Biden administration has created. And in the end, what's happening are American citizens are dying at the hands of these aliens in this country. So we also know that another huge problem with the Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio, are car accidents. They don't know how to drive. And they're not just crashing their cars and ruining property. They are killing people. This is a serious problem, and we're going to get to the root of it. That's what Kamala Harris was supposed to do as the border czar, right? Well, we will get to the root of it. And you're going to hear from some residents of Springfield who tell stories, heartbreaking stories of death and destruction at the hands of these Haitian migrants there. So we're going to talk about this. And then I got Alan Dershowitz, an exclusive interview with him, Joe Biden putting on a Trump hat. We're going to talk a little bit about Israel and, well, prove that Kamala Harris is just totally a scam artist when it comes to that. So we're going to do all of that. But first, folks, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I love this phone. It goes everywhere with me. I have 2 lines on it, 2 different networks. So no matter what city I'm in, I always have service that works well. You know, sometimes the networks in different cities work better than the others. This is what you get with Patriot Mobile. 2 lines, 1 phone. That's called the Patriot One phone. 1 line, 1 phone, 2 lines. Also, they have a performance guarantee that's fabulous. But more than that, they're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They put their money where their mouth is. Every time you make a phone call, know that some of the money you going to Patriot Mobile is going to support conservative causes and programs. Second Amendment, First Amendment rights, right to life, all of these things Patriot Mobile is engaged in. In fact, I'll be with the CEO tonight at a Big and Rich concert for the Dallas County GOP, which it should be great. And this is what Patriot Mobile does. That's at Gillies, by the way. If you're in Dallas, come join me there. 972-PATRIOT, patriotmobile.com/Grant. Use that promo code Grant for a free first month service. Again, 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, let's talk about Springfield, and then we'll talk to Alan Dershowitz as we get this party started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks, it is so great to be along with you. So, Springfield. The mainstream media wants to paint President Trump as some kind of a liar, some kind of a lunatic, talking about the dogs and the cats. The reality is it shouldn't take a meme about President Trump protecting our household pets to raise awareness about what's going on, not just in Springfield, but across the country. We are overrun with illegals that are wreaking havoc on communities across this country, and Springfield is just one example of that. Now, we talk about the dogs and the cats, but it's bigger than this. The problem is about the people. The problem is about death and destruction at the hands of people who, one, don't know how to drive, and then many of them are engaging in criminal activity. This is a woman who lost her mother-in-law to the hands of a Haitian driver who apparently plowed into her in December while she was simply taking out the trash.
Everyone is talking about the death of ducks and cats in this town, but I'd like to talk about the death of one very special person, my mother-in-law, Kathy Heaton. On December 1st, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. She was collecting her trash can from her driveway when a car struck and killed her instantly. A task she had done over 2,000 times, spanning 4 decades in Springfield. That morning, though, a Haitian immigrant was allegedly driving recklessly when he struck and killed her. I say allegedly because to this day, there's been no punishment, not even for the expired tags on the vehicle he was driving. Months before she was killed, I began noticing the reckless driving and complete disregard for our driving laws by some members of the Haitian community. It made me angry. But now my anger has turned to fear for the safety of my family and the citizens of Springfield. I'd been to Haiti 14 years ago. My husband and I went, and it was my first time in a third world country. I sobbed when I saw the poverty living there, and I have great empathy and compassion for them, longing for a safe place to call home.
But you've got to ingratiate yourself into our society. You've got to figure out how to function in America. And this isn't just Haitians. This is a problem from all across the globe. When they come here, you have immigrants that are not like my family. When they came here, I'm half Italian. Many people don't know, but Minervini is my mom's maiden name. Rayo is my mom's grandfather. They came here from Italy back in the early 1900s. And so when they got here, they quickly ingratiated themselves into the way of life here, quickly learned how to speak English. You can go to places in my city, Dallas, where I call home, and you can go into Hispanic communities. You can't even speak English. There's no English spoken. It is only Spanish. And then you get Haitians coming here that literally are practicing voodoo, that don't know how to drive, that you walk around Haiti and you kill a cat to eat it. They think that's appropriate in the United States. It's not. And this is the problem. The reality is we need to have people coming here the right way, not just flooding this country. And don't forget, Kamala Harris is the one that flooded this country with her visas for Haiti, 55,000 visas, something like that. And for whatever reason, they were all flocking to Springfield, Ohio. This poor woman continued, and I'm playing it for you because what she has to say is actually very important. I wish the mainstream media would listen to her.
But 14 years later, I'm living in fear in my own city. It's not safe. I am paralyzed with anxiety when I'm getting my children out of the car in any parking lot, walking on any sidewalk, and driving on any road in this town. I'm haunted by the faces I saw when I had to bear the news to my children and husband that she was dead. Their grandmother, the very person who tucked my 7-year-old twins into bed just 6 hours before on her 71st birthday, was never coming back. What everyone has feared is my reality, and it's my grief, and it should be yours as well. It saddens me greatly to think about leaving a place I've made a home, raised my children, became an active member of this community by providing medical care to the underprivileged and underserved, volunteering, serving on boards, and cheering for the success of the city. But just as the Haitians were seeking a safe place to call home, I now have found myself in that same situation, wanting to abandon the city and all my efforts above and search for a safe place to raise my family.
And they tell you that President Trump's wrong. You got David Muir, the idiot, fact-checking President Trump. Well, the city manager says this isn't happening. Well, I'm not talking to the city manager because I don't trust people in government anymore. I really don't. What I want to do is I want to hear from people on the ground. And again, you could substitute Springfield with nearly any town in America today because the invasion is very, very real. And this is why the mainstream media wants to discredit President Trump when he calls into question the invasion. When he calls out the invasion, when he calls out Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their open border policies, the mainstream media wants to cover it up. So they ridicule President Trump. They ridicule all of us, say, oh, no, it's not going on. You tell that to this woman. Here.
I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to.
Folks, think about this. Again, it's every city. I just read that Reggie Bush, the former Heisman Trophy winner, went to USC, and then he took money at USC, so they took away his Heisman, but now because he can get money, they give him back his Heisman, which is crazy. That whole story is crazy. Meanwhile, O.J. Simpson never lost his Heisman Trophy, and he killed people. But they give Reggie Bush his Heisman back, fine. He has his house broken into. He lives in a gated community in Encino, California. He paid $5 million for his house in 2019. It's probably a $10 million house now. They break the window at 11 o'clock at night. He screams out, chases the guy away. But I will promise you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the guy who broke into Reggie Bush's house in Encino, California is an illegal alien. I promise you. They haven't caught him, at least not as the time of this recording. I promise you. This is going on everywhere. Now Springfield has to deal with Haitians, and the dealing of it is very, very real. This woman is from Haiti. I thought first she was going to debunk the whole idea of Haitians going around and killing ducks and doing all these things, but no, she had the complete opposite take on it.
My father immigrated from Haiti to the United States in the late 60s as a teenager, and I want to talk about these recent comments about the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. First, I want to say my father and I are now estranged, but I did know him in my very, very young years, and when he immigrated, he was one person, and they weren't sending, thousands of Haitians in one area. He wasn't eating people's pets, and he didn't practice voodoo. But he did say that most of the island, the majority of the island, does practice voodoo. The reason they eat cats is for two reasons. Number one is survival. This is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. You can't just go to a food bank like you can here, or just go to McDonald's and get some free or cheap food. Unless, of course, there's a Christian missionary there. People in the United States have a really hard time imagining that type of thing, but it is true. Second, they do animal sacrifices for their religion, voodoo. They make these animal sacrifices to these gods for different reasons. You can do your own research on this. Do I think voodoo is a demonic religion? Yes, I do. That doesn't mean that you hate these people. These people need prayer.
See, she's telling both sides of the story. What's so interesting about this is I told the story of my buddy Ben Berkwam, who's our border correspondent over at Real America's Voice, and he came across these Coptic Christian Egyptians. These are basically Christians in Egypt. They were fleeing Egypt. They got kidnapped by the Sinaloa cartels, bags put over their heads, put in handcuffs, forced to pay ransom, all these things. And I showed sympathy for them. I got emails that said I shouldn't show sympathy for any of the illegals in this country. Well, why wouldn't I? And I asked Ben Berkwam about this, and I said, Ben, explain to people why we need to show sympathy for the people that are here illegally. In many respects, even the criminals, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I want the criminals captured, locked up, ultimately deported, sent home. I want the people here that their only crime is breaking into the country, ultimately sent home. But I can still have sympathy for them because we are all children of God. And many of them are just trying to make a better life for themselves. I may have tried to do the same thing myself if Joe Biden would have opened it up for me to just come on in and send money back to my family. So I can show them sympathy. I can have love for them as children of God, but I can still support the idea that you've got to do it lawfully, come here the right way. So you can do both. And that's what this woman is doing. She's showing the Haitian people sympathy, but all the while saying your religion is demonic, you're eating cats and dogs, and you're not conforming to society that America expects you to conform to. This is legitimate. I'm going to play a little bit more of her for you in just a minute, but I have something special to tell you about, folks. If you're looking to put some money someplace, what if I told you you get 21% annualized interest on your investment, paid out monthly? This is mailbox money. Every month, same day, I get a check in the mail, my 21% paid out monthly. This is annualized interest Get21now.com. This is about Bitcoin, but it's not investing in Bitcoin. It's investing in the mining of Bitcoin. This is where the secret is. There's not the wild fluctuations. NFN8 is the company that runs Get21now.com. They have warehouses across the country, big, giant warehouses with Bitcoin mining machines in them. And you invest with them, they will pay you 21% on your money, paid monthly, annualized. I have no payroll. I have no rent to pay. I don't have employees to deal with, and I'm making 21%. I was lucky if I made 21% when I had my trucking company with all those headaches. So I urge you, you want to invest in something. They've lived up to all their promises to me, but I urge you to talk to them. Make the decision for yourself. Go to get21now.com. That's get21now.com and start making that money, man. Get in the Bitcoin craze without the wild fluctuations. Get21now.com. Pay them a visit. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you for sure. All right, folks, here's more of this young lady.
You can't just take over all these people from another country and expect it to work. Not to mention it doesn't fix the problems of that country. And there's more people left in Haiti that we can bring over. It's not racist to acknowledge that this is a problem. It's not.
Isn't that interesting? Now, here's a woman who looks like she's half black, half Haitian. It's not racist to talk about obeying the law. But the Democrats want us to believe that somehow it is. Remember, they told us the wall was racist, and now Kamala Harris says, oh, let's build a wall. Why? Because the American people don't want to deal with the people of Springfield, Ohio are dealing with anymore.
Racist to talk about these things that are happening. This is not just white Americans saying this is black Americans. You can look at the people in Springfield, Ohio saying that this is happening. Y'all just want to joke about Trump and say that he's crazy for saying that this is happening instead of actually checking at all to see if this is happening. You want to make jokes about these things. Well, what if it were happening to you and your community? And no, it's beyond eating their pets, even though that is bad enough.
And that is exactly my point. Eating the pets is bad enough. Eating ducks and geese from the local pond is bad enough. But when you're killing human beings, whether it's drunk driving or car accidents, and apparently the car accidents are just out of control in Springfield because they don't know how to drive. All this is real. There's 911 calls. There's body cam footage that we played that apparently isn't from Springfield, but it's from another town where a woman is literally arrested for eating a cat. And then there's this.
Whose car? Who did this? You did this? Yeah. Yeah, man, this is the third wreck today. We got to do something about this. We need Anthony Harris from Stark County, man. This is the third time this has happened today. This is the third time.
Folks, I want you to watch this because this goes on and on and on. These car accidents in and around Springfield, Ohio. And as Irish Vixen on Rumble, and thank you to all of you who are watching on Rumble, just about every day at 12:15 Eastern time, we're coming and doing a live podcast. I urge you to subscribe, please, so you know when we come up. Like the video as well. That helps push us up in the rankings, and I'm grateful to you watching. Irish Vixen, I believe she was here yesterday, basically says in the comment box, it's 100% real, and the fact is it's not just happening in one town nor one state. That is absolutely true. You can take the pictures and you can change the town's name, you can change the locations, but it's the same story. It's the same story everywhere. Look at this. These
Anthony from there.
Haitian car accidents. And they go on and on and on. We could play a lot.
He can turn into here. You can't turn into here.
No, we wasn't right here. We was on the light right here, and they give us a green light to turn. We turn exactly on the same side we should turn.
See, they don't know.
So you're saying this is his fault?
Yes, because we give him the signal.
How about the guy that goes around taping accidents in Springfield, and it's all Haitians? I mean, oh gosh, you know how many stereotypes I could go down driving in Dallas when I know somebody's not driving very well? Maybe the first stereotype is the conservative talk show host, a white guy who's on his phone too much. That's me, by the way. But there's a whole slew of stereotypes you go to, and usually they're pretty true when it comes to how people drive. Sadly, though, this is getting dangerous because they're so bad, they're killing people, as that first woman. Then I saw this guy talking about what was going on in Springfield, and I found it fascinating because he's explained the situation very well about societal differences here.
Listen, I am not Haitian, but I am from the Caribbean. The Haitian immigrants are indeed eating animals. Let me tell you something about these people. Not only are they harvesting cats for food, but also for witchcraft purposes, voodoo purposes. Understand this. If you don't want to take my word for it, go out there. Meet a Haitian. Talk to them about it. This is not something they aren't proud of. It's their culture. They eat these animals and they use the blood and bones of these animals for voodoo and witchcraft purposes. This is not a joke.
So you see, he's from the Caribbean, and voodoo is very popular in the Caribbean islands. There's no doubt about that. So this is what happens. Ultimately, it's bigger than the Haitians. It's bigger than voodoo. And in respects, it's bigger than people dying in car accidents, even though if you're a victim of that or you had someone die as a result of that, what's bigger? Nothing. It's personal, right, to you. But we know the open border policies is responsible for much of what we're talking about today, but it's responsible for more than that. You talk about fentanyl deaths in America that have reached record numbers. You know, I told my son, and I want everyone out there that has a child, you tell me if you think I'm crazy or not, all right? I'd be curious to see in the comment box, too, if you think that I'm too harsh with my son. My son is 15 years old. He's a sophomore in high school, just now starting the idea of going out to parties at night, and I worry about how do you get him back and home. He's got friends that are driving, all this stuff. It scares me to death, 16-year-olds behind the wheel. Just as scary as Haitians behind the wheel in Springfield, apparently. But this fentanyl is real, and I told my son, I said, look, buddy, I said, they lace vapes with fentanyl. They will lace joints with fentanyl. They would put fentanyl in anything. God forbid you're trying to snort some kind of crazy drug. Somebody offers you something. It could have fentanyl in it, and fentanyl will kill you. Now, I'm divorced, been divorced for over a decade. But I told my son, and I get along with my ex-wife really well. She's probably the best ex-wife a guy could ever ask for. She's a good mom. She doesn't live too far from here. We co-parent. He's with me half the week. And I'm giving him this speech. And I said to him, I said, here's the real deal when it comes to fentanyl. I said, if you die of a fentanyl poisoning, some people call it overdose. I call it a poisoning because that's what it is. It virtually amounts to murder. If you die of a fentanyl poisoning, I'm going to be so mad at you, son. I'm going to be so pissed because I'm going to have to call your mom and I'm going to have to tell her that you are dead. I said, do you want me to have to make that phone call? You know how much your mother loves you. Can you imagine me now having to go to your funeral, having grandma and grandpa having to fly down from New York, having your aunts and uncles having to fly down from New York, come down here, look at you in a casket as a dead 15, 16-year-old boy? Do you think I want to do that? And your poor mother weeping over your death because you were so dumb you did? Well, he's looking at me, bright-eyed. I think I scared him. I think I got the message across, but I think it's a message you have to keep going with. Now, Lynn Paul says, have the gatherings at your house. Hell no. That's the last thing I want. And here's why I don't want gatherings at my house. You are not going to stop these kids from drinking, okay? You can have the party at your house. You can check everything, but they will sneak it in. They will sneak it out. They'll go out. They'll come back. You can't keep an eye on everybody. God forbid somebody leaves there and drinks and gets in a car accident. Your ass will be hauled into jail. So what I told my son was, I've got to teach you tips and tactics to navigate this idea that there will be drugs and alcohol at parties as you move forward in life. How do we navigate this, son? And I talked to him about it. I said, I don't want you to feel like a dork saying no, but I don't want you saying yes. So let's come up with some ideas of how you move through this. Maybe one line is, no, not today. Not today. I'm not drinking today. Whatever. Get you out of it. Or I've even been contemplating this. Do you hold a beer? Probably not. But my kid has been around me. Look, I don't want to make any secret. I love to have a cocktail at night after dinner. He goes with me. We go to a place called Albernays. It's one of the best steakhouses in Dallas. I'm there once or twice a week. My son sits with me at the bar, and he's been doing that since a little kid. And so the idea of alcohol is not taboo to him, which I think is good. And the allure isn't, such a mystery, because I'll let him take a sip now and then. You can criticize me, not criticize me. Here's my promise to you. I'm trying to do my best with reality and street smarts of what the real situation is. And so having a party at my house is absolutely off limits. Do you think the government knows what they are doing, or is it a case of short-sightedness? I've been in 23 counties and a half are like this third world. It's not their fault. It's ours. I think the government fully knows what they're doing, all the way up to the federal government, all the way down to your local government. And I think they turned a blind eye to it because this is about a mass importation of poverty into America. That's what this is about. They want to import poverty to America to fundamentally change this country. There is no doubt, including having them vote, these illegals. So, yes, I believe these governments know exactly what is going on, and they don't want to do anything about it because it's all part of their big, giant plan. You talk about fentanyl and just how dangerous it is. Again, it gets back to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris are the biggest, most prolific traffickers of drugs and humans this world has ever seen. They are culpable of this with these open border policies. This was a woman I saw on with Laura Ingraham the other night talking about fentanyl. She had a loved one die of it.
In front of the House Judiciary Committee, all the Democrats just spoke out their 5 minutes of time. They didn't ask any of the victims any questions. They didn't care to hear. Congressman Nadler had his head down the whole time and he was staring at his phone.
That's Jerry Nadler, the fat you-know-what from New York. He has his head in his phone as you have a young woman who loses her son, I believe it was, to a fentanyl overdose. She's testifying before Congress, and these Democrats have their heads buried in their phone. They deserve your respect. Your open border policies are what caused all of this, Nadler. But you don't have respect for you or yourself or your body, so why would I have any idea that you have respect for anybody else or this country? You can't even take care of yourself.
Congresswoman Escobar, she was just insulting, saying, that the right was extorting us, and I think that her comment was extorting us more than anything. She absolutely was very offensive. I found it very offensive that none of them wanted to ask us a single question, and it's because they have done nothing, and they know they've done nothing, and they have failed Americans. Americans need to be safe. This is our country, and they're not keeping Americans safe. They're letting people over the border. They're letting fentanyl flood into this country. They're letting criminals flood into this country, and nothing is being done about it. We need answers as to why. Why isn't anything being done about it? Now, the one person who has done something, who has talked about it, and who has done something in the past is President Trump, and he will come back and he will do something about it.
Well, I promise you that is the case. President Trump says he wants the largest deportation effort in American history. I believe that he'll be able to carry that out, and he'll get the cooperation of other countries where the other countries laugh at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. President Trump is correct when he tells you that Venezuela, El Salvador, many of these countries are sending the worst of the worst to America. He's not kidding when he tells you they empty the jails and send them here. Crime drops in these third world countries because they're sending all their criminals here. Look at what's happening in Colorado with Tren de Agua, TDA, I believe that's calling it. It's easier to say now. This horrible gang that's taking over apartment complexes. There was an apartment complex in San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio overrun with Tren de Agua gang members that are literally taking over these places. So this is on the backs of Kamala Harris. And it has wide-reaching effects negative effects. You know, some of the people in the chat are talking about just exactly how they want to overwhelm the system. And it is so very true. Here's Helen Myers in the YouTube chat. It got me when you said you have to explain to your son. I feel you couldn't have said it any better. I have 4 young adult kids that stress over daily. I pray my words get through to them. Sometimes I think you have to scare your kids, but you don't scare them with falsities. You scare them with absolute truth. And I'll tell you one more fentanyl story. I talk to sheriffs all the time across the country about fentanyl and how the call comes in. And one of the things, the common themes I had realized is that parents are finding their kids in the shower dead. And I'm thinking, why the shower? Why is every time I hear one of these stories that a kid is in the shower dead? Well, I believe what happens is when you take the fentanyl, your heart starts to beat really fast. Then it starts to slow. Then you start to sweat. You get nervous. Anxiety takes over. When you're sweating, these kids are saying, I need to take a shower. If I take a shower, it'll calm my nerves down. I'll cool down. And instead what happens, heart just gives out right there in the shower. And this is why parents are finding their kids. They say, man, my kid's in the shower for 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Let me go up and check on them. And they're dead. So again, I tell that story to my son. I don't want to scare him, but I do. I don't want to give him anxiety, but in some respects I do. Same thing about school shootings. Boy, we should do a whole podcast about messages to your kids from an early age and how you teach them to deal with reality. And it is about being street smart. You know, even abstinence when it comes to sex, you can tell your kid all you want. You better be abstinent. Like, it's not good to have sex. You're not ready for it. You have to love the person. And all of that is a very good message. Don't get me wrong. But it's not reality. So you better give them tips not to get somebody pregnant. In my case, a son who, Lord knows when he starts doing that, he seems like such a child right now that I don't think he's capable of that. But you don't know. These kids start early. Condoms, condoms, condoms. And then I scare him with, you wear these, don't get a girl pregnant, and you don't want disease, right? And I'll give him monkeypox and AIDS and every freaking horrible disease I can think of. That's what's going to happen to you, kid, if you start having sex at 15 years old. He's not. My son's a good kid. He is. And I give his mom, myself, his family, his upbringing, even his school and his friends, he surrounds himself with good kids, which I think is half the battle as well. But it's easy to mess up. It really, really is. Faith 777, better to scare him than find him dead in the shower. Isn't that the truth? Oof. It's a harsh reality, though. Hey, folks, one of the things that I feel very strongly about, I talked about how Jerry Nadler is just a disgusting human being. He doesn't take care of himself. I pride myself on taking care of myself. And I use the Energized Health program. This is fabulous. It's a total mind, body, soul program. I wanted to slim down and lose a little weight. I was always in good shape. I'm in the best shape when I go back to reunions and stuff. I'm in very good shape. I really work hard. I try to eat right and I work out a lot. But I wasn't perfect. Well, I found Energized Health, and in 6 weeks now, I'm down 15 pounds. I feel great. Same amount of muscle mass. I've not lost any muscle. My suit jackets still fit up here, which was important to me. I'm still building muscle while losing fat, and I'm losing fat in the most important spot, the insides, that visceral fat. That's the unhealthiest fat you have on your insides. Energized Health has gotten me there. And it's hydration, intercellular hydration. This is what I want you to talk to them about. So go to energizedhealth.com/Grant. They have personal coaching. They have recipes. There's daily videos. The science behind this is just insane. Intercellular hydration. A lot of it is about hydration. I'm not killing myself on workouts. And my diet's easy. I'm still eating most of the same things I like. I just tweaked it a little bit. And man, have I had success. I feel like I look good, don't I? Energizedhealth.com/Grant. Pay them a visit. They got 100% money back guarantee, too, by the way, if you're not happy. Energizedhealth.com. Take back your life. You got to lose 200 pounds or 20 pounds. It doesn't matter. They can help you. Energizedhealth.com Grant. All right. Do you want to hear an interview I did with Alan Dershowitz? So Alan Dershowitz, the great mind, legal mind, constitutional scholar, Harvard law professor, defender of President Trump, was on OJ's team. This guy is a fabulous lawyer. I have felt like I've been blessed to get to know him over the years. We have had our disagreements, okay? Him and I think differently about right to life issues, even on guns. We have differences. But I have great respect for Alan Dershowitz because I think he's very smart, and I do believe he is intellectually honest, which so many Democrats are. Well, he's not a Democrat anymore. Alan Dershowitz is now an independent. I brought him on the Real America's Voice show to talk about why he made the switch. And I wanted to play it for you because I found the interview to be fascinating. And it's no holds barred. We get in some little disagreements along the way, but I hope you enjoy this. How do you get someone to A, leave the Democrat Party, or 2, be an independent and vote for Trump? Well, someone who can talk about his disgust with the Democrat Party is a great friend of this program. And I will say for many years, it's almost a disappointment now. People would ask me, is there one Democrat you respect? And I think and think and think. And I'd say, yes, Alan Dershowitz is the one guy I respect. Well, now I can't even say that anymore. Professor Dershowitz, it is great to have you on the program.
Well, I hope you still respect me, even though I'm an independent now. But
well, you know I do. And Professor, I think it's got to be 5 years. I have been teasing you about leaving the Democrat Party. Finally, you actually did it. Explain to me why and how you came to this decision.
Well, it's the Ronald Reagan decision. I didn't leave the Democrats. They left me. If you watch their convention, it was an abomination. The featured speakers were these virulent anti-Semites like Keith Ellison and the Reverend Sharpton, anti-Israel people like AOC, who accuse Israel of being a genocidal. Now you have the vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, saying that, quote, these protesters are protesting for all the right reasons. They are burning American flags. They're calling for Hamas's victory. They are saying that there was nothing wrong with October 7th. All the right reasons. And President Biden said they have good points. No, they don't. They're a bunch of bigoted thugs who want to see the end of America, the end of Western democracy. And so, look, I can't support a party that has views like that. It doesn't mean I'm automatically becoming a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm going to decide who to vote for. I'm going to listen carefully to this debate. I don't think I'm going to find many surprising results from this debate. I hope, I wish there were real cross-examiners in these debates, lawyers like me who know how to ask hard follow-up questions. I mean, the idea that she has changed all of her views and then one of her strongest supporters from the radical wing of the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders, says, oh, no, don't worry, progressives, woke radicals. She's really on our side. She's just lying to you to win the election. That's essentially what he said. And I think the first question I would ask is, you certainly admire Bernie Sanders. He's one of your biggest supporters. He's accused you of basically lying, of remaining a strong progressive left-wing woke person, but pretending to be a centrist to win the election. Who's lying, you or him?
All right. So, Professor, as you explain this, I don't see you voting for Kamala Harris. I mean, even your respect, the one thing that you and I have in common when it comes to politics is our love of the Constitution and our love of this country. I would offer the Democrats have trampled on the Constitution. Look at the lawfare that you defended President Trump against. Kamala Harris was at the heart of that.
I agree with you, but what about Donald Trump saying he's going to prosecute the people who he alleges have persecuted him? That's banana republic talk. I don't like it. Yeah. I don't like the fact that he also has still claiming, although he's not said it recently, that he won the election last time. He didn't win the election last time. I don't like the fact that he attacked Senator McCain, the man who could have been released from captivity, but he wanted to be with his troops. The guy is a true national hero, and Donald Trump attacks him basically and calls him somebody who didn't serve the military right. So there are reasons for voting against both candidates, and I'm going to have to decide, like many Americans, who was the least worst candidate. Now, if it's a question of policies, it's easy. Trump's policies are better. There's no doubt about it.
All right.
If it's a question of personality.
And that, Professor, is very important because I understand there's a lot of people who don't like President Trump's personality. I personally do. We could argue about stolen election. I could give you some evidence why I think it was. You could give me evidence why you don't think it was. The McCain thing, I'll give you that. Maybe he shouldn't have said this. But in the end, President Trump loves this country. I'm not sure Kamala Harris actually does. Do you believe, you've been around President Trump. Let me ask you this. Do you like him? Not even his politics, just do you like President Trump? Do you like being around him?
Yes, he's a charming guy. We spent the day in court together during the New York trial. I was on his side 100%. That case is fraught with danger to the American Constitution, and we joined hands in trying to resist an unconstitutional conviction. And yes, I enjoy being with him. He's a charming guy. But I don't enjoy listening to him attacking other people and making the kinds of comments he's made about women. Look, tonight he has a chance. If he can be a real mensch, if he can just stand up and say, look, let's talk about policies. Let's keep personalities out of this. Let's not have nicknames for people. Let's not attack people. I think he can win this election. And by the way, Kamala Harris could do something smart, too. When she shakes hands with him, she should say, I'm so sorry about the attempt to take your life. That's not something no American should ever support.
All right.
And I'm side on that. Both sides can bring us together. Let's see if that happens.
So I don't think the left has the possibility to bring us together. I think they've been so divisive through all this. You mentioned the squad and the radicalism and jihadists in Congress. I mean, I just don't see them being a party of unity when they've done so much to divide us, going all the way back to Barack Obama. I'm sensing from you, Professor, that you could vote for President Trump, but I don't hear you saying that you could vote for Kamala Harris. Am I wrong? I don't want to put words in your mouth by any means.
I want to wait and hear what she says in the debate. I want to hear what happens if Israel is attacked by Iran, how she responds. Look, you vote based on the totality of the circumstances. And sometimes you have to hold your nose when you go into the voting booth and you vote. I remember voting for Lyndon Johnson back in 1964 and hating some of the things I had heard about his personal life and his personal relationship with staff members, but I thought he was better than Goldwater. Today, I think I'd vote for Goldwater. He's a moderate Republican compared to some people. Look, I want to see our country move to the middle, and I will in the end vote for whoever I think will help move the country to the middle, away from the extremes. And you're right, I have a very, very hard time voting for the Democrats these days, a very, very hard time.
All right. I want your opinion on my assessment of the differences between liberals and conservatives. I believe conservatives simply believe that we know what's best for us and our family, and liberals believe government knows what's best for them and their family. And I think that's the fundamental difference.
You're confusing liberals with progressives. I am a liberal. I not left the Liberal Party. I am a staunch liberal. Liberal believes in individual decision-making, including a woman's right to make decisions about her body, including the right of gay people to marry who they love. I am a libertarian liberal. I do not favor government intervention. I want the government to give us the ability to have good health care, but I don't believe in single-payer, government having control over everybody's health care. I want to choose my own doctors. So I'm a liberal, but I am more opposed to progressives, radicals, woke people than even conservatives. I much prefer conservatives to woke radicals, but don't confuse liberals like me with radicals. I believe in free speech. Radicals don't. I believe in choice. Many radicals don't. They want to make decisions for you. So I'm as anti-radical as I am anti-fascist on the other side.
Do you think, and I mean this sincerely, do you think the radicals are the majority of the Democrat Party today, including everyday folks, or do you think liberals still there? It's just the radicals are the loudest?
the radicals are the loudest. And the problem with the Democrats, the reason I can't be a Democrat, is that people like Biden and Kamala Harris and Waltz have given in to the radicals. Why didn't they select Josh Shapiro? I'm not a big fan of Josh Shapiro personally, but the only reason he wasn't picked is because his name isn't John Shepard. Well, if he was an Episcopalian named John Shepard, the governor of the most important state, the most popular governor in the country, and by some counting, of course he would have been picked. And it's not that Kamala Harris is an anti-Semite. She's married to a Jew. The point is that she gave in to the radicals. She knew if she had appointed a Jewish Zionist to be the vice presidential candidate, there couldn't have been a convention. There would have been riots in the street. The radicals in the Democratic Party would have torn the party apart. That's why you get somebody like Waltz idiotically, bigotedly saying that these protesters are saying all the right things. They're doing it for the right reasons. He's giving in. He wants to win Michigan. He wants to win Minnesota. But let me tell you, it is despicable to have him support these protesters who burned American flags, who would love to kill Jews. And it was just as despicable for President Biden to say that they have good points. You know, Biden claims he ran for president because he says Trump said there were fine people on both sides. He didn't say that. I heard what Trump said. Trump said there were fine people on both sides of the debate about whether to remove the statue of Robert E. Lee. He was right. I was on the side of not removing the statue of Robert E. Lee. I was on the side of maybe putting it in a museum with an explanation, but certainly not destroying it. But that's not what Trump said. But that's what Biden said when he said they have good points. Well, that's what Waltz said when he said the protesters are doing it for all the right reasons. They are not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it because they're bigots.
All right, let me leave you with this, because you know my goal always, I think the last time you were on, I said I'm going to get you to vote for Trump before Election Day. I'm going to get you to do it. Abortion up to the moment of birth, 9 months. Men playing in women's sports. We agree that Joe Biden's policies, Harris's policies, have given us inflation through the roof that is really making Americans struggle, and lawfare is very real. Do you agree? Are you against all of those things? And if so, is Trump now your only choice?
Well, I'm against abortion to the moment of birth unless it endangers the life of the woman. And on women and men in sports, it's a complicated issue. You have a case now where somebody has been a woman all of her life, but she has some genetic matters that don't allow her to pass a test. You know, there are women who have very large wingspans and can beat anybody in swimming. It's a complicated issue. I think it has to be considered very seriously, and I feel for the women who have to compete against people who are genetically very, very different from them. These are complicated issues.
That's a one-off, though, Professor. You know what we're talking. We're talking about the male swimmer who's literally swimming in collegiate male sports, and now he wants to be a girl swimmer.
I agree with that. I think that people have to be judged by the way they've lived their lives. I think we have to be sensitive to transgenders who have to change their sex. I know two grandparents who had suicidal children, and then when they transformed, they became happy and good. I don't want to make decisions about these people. I don't want 14-year-olds to be able to do it, but I'm a libertarian. If you want to be a woman, you be a woman. If you want to be a man, you be a man.
And I think, Professor, not to get too deep into the woods, but you and I would both agree the parents should have a role in deciding that. You got Gavin Newsom saying, hey, you can come to California without telling your parents and have a sex change operation. That's ridiculous.
I agree with that. I think you have to have parental consent up to a certain age. And then,
all right,
I'm a libertarian, liberal. I hate radical, woke progressives, just like I hate radical, fascist right-wingers. The Republicans have done a better job in marginalizing their hard right than Democrats have done, which is why I left the Democratic Party.
I don't think you're calling me a fascist right-winger, but I'm a proud right-winger if that's supporting the Constitution. So.
There are fascist right-wingers within the Republican Party, but we've done a good job in getting rid of them, and they've been marginalized much more than the Democrats. I would never accuse you of anything like that. You're a decent conservative. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor. All right, lastly, I need the publicity. I'm trying to get ratings for the show. If you told me right now you were voting for President Trump, boy, you'd be doing me a huge favor. We got it?
No, you can't have it. You know, everybody in my family is a Democrat. Everybody in my family. I used to have friends. I don't have any more because I defended President Trump. But it's been a very hard decision for me to go against everybody in my family. And I've done it, and I don't regret it. My family knows that I live my life by principle, and I'm not going to always agree with them, and I'm not going to make life easy for some of them. But that's who I am, and take it or leave it. They love me, they support me, and they disagree with me.
I'll tell you what, Professor Dershowitz, you know I always love having you on. I love our conversations over the years, and you better believe you are one of the few men that I really, really do truly respect in this country, and I appreciate all you've done for President Trump. I think even if you do it in secret, I still think you're going to pull the lever for him, but only you will know unless you tell us. Professor Dershowitz, it is great having you on the program.
I hate early voting, and I'm not going to early vote. I think you vote at the very last minute. You know, early voting is like jurors deciding the verdict in the case after hearing half the evidence. So I'm not going to vote early, and I'm not going to tell you early who I'm going to vote for.
Fair enough. Professor, I know you got the book, Get Trump. It's great. I urge everyone to read it. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It was great to interview Professor Dershowitz. I do find it fascinating, his thoughts on all this stuff. As you can see, I don't agree with him on many things, and I think he's wrong on some issues. It's just, he thinks I'm wrong. But at least that's a respectful conversation, which really isn't being had in America today, and I'm happy to have it with a guy like that, especially a guy who has been so helpful to President Trump along the way through the impeachments, as you heard about his case in New York. Alan Dershowitz is a supporter of the Constitution, all right? We may agree or disagree on abortion issues and some gun rights issues, but in the end, when it comes to the lawfare against President Trump, he is not a fan of that. Hey, folks, do you have a medical emergency kit from the wellness company? You need one. If you don't have one, let me get the website up here for you, because the wellness company is getting it done when it comes to emergency preparedness. This is my emergency kit. It's got 8 very important prescription medications here: antivirals, antiparasitics, antibiotics, including ivermectin, which is very hard to get in many states. So this is part of my emergency plan. I have one of these kits. In fact, I have multiple of these kits. I've got ammunition, I've got food, I've got water, I've got power generation as well. All part of it. God forbid the drugstores close and my kid or me needs prescription medications. This can be life-saving. It has to be part of your emergency plan. Get a wellness company kit. Do it today. Go to twc.health/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT, and I promise you're going to be better off for it. You're going to be safer for it. Your family is going to be better off for it as well. All right, so let me talk just a little bit about Israel. So what is it about Kamala Harris that she flip-flops back and forth? When it comes to Israel, you can't have it both ways. You can't say Israel can defend itself and then call for a ceasefire. But this is exactly the middle-of-the-road, middle-of-the-street nonsense that Kamala Harris believes in.
There's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters, because it is also true far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
Give me a break. These Palestinians are culpable in all of it. They elected Hamas into power. They willingly are used as human shields. Willingly. They believe they're martyrs through this. And they continue, Hamas does, to attack Israelis, Jews inside Israel.
Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a 2-state solution.
Oh, really? Well, who's going to run the second state? Hamas? Terrorists? Muslim Brotherhood? The Palestinian Authority? Who's going to run it? Because all it is jihadists in that area. You're not going to have leadership of that country. And so this is what Kamala Harris does. She tries to play the middle of the line. Oh, Israel can defend itself, but we want a ceasefire and a two-state solution. Well, how are you going to end the war unless you end Hamas and jihadism? That's the reality of the situation. That's what needs to happen, and we need to support Israel when it comes to that. All right, folks, that is going to do it for us today. I so appreciate you watching. It's been a great pleasure. Thanks to all of you on Rumble watching. It's a great audience. I think maybe a record audience for me today. I love that. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. That really, really helps me. And Stinchfield's Army, become a member. How do you become a member? You just simply watch. And then I say, you're a member of Stinchfield's Army. But we are growing. Don't forget the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm actually off tonight. I'm hosting an event with John Rich at Gillies in Dallas. If you're in Dallas, come on down and see me for the Dallas County GOP in Dallas, Texas. But we'll be back Monday, I believe. I believe Trump rally tomorrow night in place of the show. And then Monday night, we'll be back on Real America's Voice. God bless all of you, folks. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We will see you very soon. Thanks for watching.